Good morning, you guys, and welcome back to my channel for another video. Today I'm going to be doing a live Constitution lesson from The Good and the Beautiful, sharing it with you guys. Today's video is brought to you in partnership with The Good and the Beautiful. A lot of you know and are familiar that they released an incredible U.S. Constitution and Government course over the summer this past year. Well, I had it sitting on my shelf in our homeschool room until the perfect time of year when I wanted to utilize it. And so we are in full swing learning and loving learning about the U.S. Constitution and government through The Good and the Beautiful. You can see I have all of my kids' journals out. They're on the other side of the table too, but I am just going to bring you guys along as we do a lesson with using our materials. I'm going to show you, I didn't pick a special one. I just knew I wanted to film this, and today is one of the days we're doing it. We are doing the Constitution course 2 to 3 times per week in our homeschool right now, and that is because I do want to finish it in a quarter. So I want to give it about 9 weeks, and so we are going to be doing probably 3 more regularly this week. We had a little bit of a short week, so this will be like our second time. But anyway, I just decided I was going to film this today, and so I thought I would share it with you guys. If you're new to my channel, I have 9th grade all the way down to 4th grade, and we are all doing this unit study together and learning so much. I am confessing to you guys right off the top that there have been tons of things in this course that I, as well as my husband, never knew or never really understood. And so we are learning as a family, which is one of my favorite things to do in our homeschool. And it also is helping me be really energized in teaching this because I'm very passionate about my kids knowing about this. And I'm so happy with the course. So today I'm going to take you guys through a lesson with us, and I hope you enjoy a live homeschooling lesson. I try to leave these as unedited as possible, and so if you go and watch any of the other ones on my channel, you'll see that I don't edit out, you know, interruptions and things like that. I really try to give a realistic picture of what it looks like to homeschool. And so just giving you guys a little bit of an intro here, but we are going to get started with our lesson, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I will link to The Good and the Beautiful down in the description box if you want to grab this. I encourage you to. It is incredible, so incredible. And although it is recommended for grades 4 through 8, like I said, I have a high schooler doing it, and I am a college graduate adult that doesn't even know all that is in here. So I definitely think you can use this with older kids as well, and I would recommend doing it. You can add more in if that's something you're wanting to do for high school credit. These are just some tips and suggestions. But anyways, we're gonna get started with our lesson, and I hope you guys enjoy doing a lesson with us today. So you can purchase this on The Good and the Beautiful's website, and this is just, I'm showing you guys like what some options are. This is just an activity book that is recommended for younger kids. Of course, older kids could have fun with it too. So I have this out because I just think they're nice supplemental activities. This is the meat and bones of your course. Like I said, grades 4 through 8, although I believe this could be majorly extended because I'm fairly confident that the majority of adults are not even well-versed on the majority of the content in here. But this is your course book, and so every day it gives you a lesson at the top, what you're teaching. It tells you if you need to prepare anything. So all of The Good and the Beautiful's curriculum is open and go, which is wonderful because, you know, there's not a ton of preparation involved. Sometimes you might need to cut something out, but other than that, it's really no big deal. And it guides you through it, so you can see the dark print is what you're reading, and then the lighter print is kind of, you know, what you're discussing and talking about. So it makes it really easy to follow along with the lesson. It's very simple. And so you just open it up and you begin. So that is the course book. That's where all of the lessons come from. It's you could do this the way you want to, or, you know, but I would recommend every student that you're using, that you're doing the course with, having their own notebook that this references inside there. There's, you guys can see, there's like, this is where they're writing things down and doing some activities. And so yes, everyone needs one of those. And then this is the optional read aloud from The Good and the Beautiful to help bring it to life. So this is a book that we are enjoying. Now that is everything that The Good and the Beautiful has for this course, but I also found this, which I think is just really fun. So it has all of the days of the year in here, and we've been going through it and just reading about something that happened in American history on that date. So there's the date, and then it'll tell you something really cool that happened. So this is called the American Patriots Almanac. And I have this linked on my Amazon. It's daily readings on America. And this is not for children. This is just, you know, a cool historical book that someone recommended to me that I absolutely love. And I think it pairs really well with all of this. So that is pretty much it. I have everything set out for our lesson, and so we are going to begin. From its flanks, Japanese guns could crisscross Iwo Jima with deadly fire, with bullets and shells screeching around them. Wave after wave of Marines hit the beach. I just didn't see how anybody could live through such heavy barrages. One officer remembered. The Americans rarely saw their hidden enemy, while the Japanese had every U.S. soldier in their sights. The Marines fought forward inch by inch. On the morning of February 23rd, which is today, 1945, U.S. troops all over the island were elated by the sight of a small American flag flying atop Mount Suribachi.
Oh, yes.
The Marines had gained the summit. Later that afternoon, 5 Marines and a Navy hospital corpsman raised a larger flag. By the time the fighting finally ended, some 6,800 Americans had died, capturing Iwo Jima's 8 square miles. More than 21,000 Japanese were dead. Today, a giant bronze statue near Arlington National Cemetery outside of Washington, D.C. depicts one of the most famous images from American history: the Marines raising the U.S. flag atop Mount Suribachi.
It's in here somewhere.
Yeah. The Marine Corps War Memorial is dedicated to all Marines who have given their lives in defense of the United States. An inscription on its base reads, "Uncommon valor was a common virtue." And then there's the picture, a small one of that.
It's crazy because that is an actual, like, it's an actual photo, and then they made a statue of it.
Right.
It's not just a... At least I can...
So we're gonna start our lesson with reading chapter 3 of Mystery of Constitution Island. Okay, or did we read chapter 3?
We did. I feel like we did.
We did, we're ahead. What, you don't wanna read it?
No, we're ahead.
Oh, you're ahead.
At first I thought, wait, you don't like it?
All right, so let's open your timeline in your notebooks to...
Stop it, Quasi.
So on page 2, let's review some of the things that we've already covered. Okay, so which event or events on the timeline do you feel played a part in leading up to the Revolutionary War?
The Boston Tea Party.
So we have on here the Boston Tea Party. So you think the Boston Tea Party played a part in leading to the Revolutionary War?
Common Sense. Published by Thomas Paine.
Yeah.
French and Indian War.
The French and Indian War. Why?
Because that was how the taxes were put in place because Britain was in debt.
Mm-hmm. Good. So how long did the Revolutionary War last?
From 1775 to 1781.
Good. So on your timeline next to those years, write Revolutionary War. And we capitalize the name, Olivia. So,
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, let me help you spell.
Okay.
REVOLUTIONARY, and then war.
That you need to read for. I'm reading a different book right now.
In 1781, which country surrendered and where?
Britain in Yorktown.
It says it right on the other side, right?
Where?
It's only 1780.
Good. So where it says 1781 on the timeline, write British surrender in Yorktown, Virginia. Happy to be free of the tyrannical
Firing
king.
their guns and riding their horses.
In 1783, Britain formally recognized America's independence with what document? Look at your list on the side.
1783, you said?
Yep. Does anybody know what Britain formally recognized America's independence with what document?
It doesn't
The,
say.
I know.
The Treaty of Paris.
The Treaty of Paris. Good. That's 1783. Treaty of Paris. Treaty is spelled like treat with a Y.
Treaty.
Treaty feels like a sack of spiders.
Let's stay focused, okay?
Sorry.
When the War for Independence was won, do you think that the work was done?
No.
It was not. Throughout the war, the Confederation, the group of 13 allied colonies, had formed a constitution. Do you remember from the story what this first constitution was called?
The
Articles of
Separatists.
Independence?
Confederation.
In May 1787.
No, we're done with the timeline.
Oh, okay.
So, Kylie, what was the name of the original, the first constitution that was for the group of the 13 allied colonies called?
You just said it. Something with the article.
Articles of Confederation.
Articles of Confederation. The founders, can you please stop with your pen? Thank you. The founders who wrote the Articles of the Confederation were very concerned with making sure that the central government would not be too strong or powerful. That's a good thing, right? Why do you think they would be so concerned about that? Consider what they were,
They just escaped
from what?
from
A tyrannical king.
King George III.
And they had no, they were under his tyranny. So that if one area of government could be too powerful, then we were going to see sinful people just abusing their power like kings had done before. So that's why they wrote this. So the last thing they wanted after finally breaking free from Britain's clutches was more tyranny. They intentionally built a government with a weak central power. Instead, they built a confederation, a loose alliance or friendship between the states. So we are going to do just a quick demonstration of what this means. So Olivia, I want you to go get some toilet paper, 13 squares. Don't separate them, keep them all together.
Oh, I thought you meant like 13 rolls.
No, 13 squares and bring it here. Don't rip. So these are all the booklets and we're gonna take turns reading them aloud. So there's a section on the inside that says read, and then we're gonna have a question to discuss. The person who is reading it is going to obviously be able to see the back, but the rest of us will not. So we're all gonna take turns. So we'll start with you. So grab one and read what it says on the inside.
Imagine you are learning how to skateboard on a path at a park in a foreign city. Suddenly, a police officer arrests you, citing a city law that says no vehicles allowed inside the park. You respectfully say that you don't think a skateboard is a vehicle, but the officer says the way he sees it. Anything with wheels that is used as transportation is a vehicle. There is no judge or court. You can go to in that foreign city. The officer alone determines whether you broke the law and what your punishment should be. Question. Why would this... What is this one say?
Scenario.
Scenario be a problem.
But more importantly, give me the... So it's suddenly a police officer arrests you, citing a city law that says no vehicles allowed. You say that you don't think a skateboard is a vehicle, but the officer says the way he sees it.
Oh, it's his opinion.
It's his opinion. That's the problem here. So how does that relate to the Articles of Confederation? Anybody know?
Whoa.
They probably didn't address that.
Hang on. Let me think.
Think of the branches of government in the United States, things that are certain branches of government that are responsible for passing laws and upholding laws and enforcing laws. What do you think that they did or did not have during this time?
They didn't have like
Someone to look up to, like another country to be inspired by.
to uphold the law properly.
Imagine that a group of farmers needed a tractor, but it was so expensive that they decided to purchase it together to share the expense in the tractor. They purchased the tractor on a loan, but they did not decide ahead of time how much each farmer needed to contribute. When the bill came for $100,000, none of the farmers contributed very much, saying things such as, well, I don't use the tractor as much as Farmer Bill does, or my crops didn't do well this year, so I just don't have the money to contribute. Why would the scenario be a problem?
Because they aren't doing what they said they would.
Right, they're not doing what they said they would do, and there's no way to go about enforcing it or checking up on it. So what else, Landon?
Do you want me to read this?
Mm-hmm.
How does this relate to the Articles of Confederation? Under the Articles of Confederation, the central government had no power of or authority to raise money through taxation. The nation was in debt from the Revolutionary War and needed funds from the states to help pay off debts. But the individual states were not willing to contribute enough money to get the debts paid off.
So that's how it relates. So if you can't uphold the law, then how can you enforce it? So that was a problem because the central government had no power or authority to settle disputes between the states. So when they were all trying to vote and get something passed or something, they couldn't do it. And then there was no one to enforce it. So basically you just couldn't really make any progress or get anywhere under this. So that's why, so hopefully those situations help you guys see it. So that's why this brand new American nation needed a new constitution, because the Articles of Confederation were not working. They weren't working for a lot of different reasons, but they weren't working because of these things that we talked about. So there was no central government that could enforce and uphold laws. There was no way to get agreements between the states resolved, 13 different states agreeing on something. That was never gonna happen. They couldn't get, they didn't have a judicial system, so that there was no court, there was nothing. And so, and they were not all willing to pay the debt off that needed to be paid off. So that's why we needed a new constitution. So I want you to picture, because we did it with the toilet paper, but we're just gonna imagine this in our minds, that Landon and Olivia are holding some fabric, like a scarf, one end of the scarf. And then you fold it in half and you hold it apart. And then you put the rocks on it. Do you think it's gonna be stronger than this?
Yes.
Yes, it's gonna be able to uphold it. So the scarf image that we just talked about represents the United States complete with a central government and a strong constitution. So when you put the weight, the rocks are the weight, when you put that on the scarf, is it gonna be able to bear that weight better than just this thin toilet paper being pulled at both ends, right? So the states could bear the weight of disagreements and differing goals. As before, each of these rocks represents the goal of one state. So if we put one rock at a time equaling up to the 13, it would be able to, would the states have broken apart?
But 13 rocks probably.
The scarf?
Oh, not the scarf.
No, the scarf, they would have been able to be held together. So when the states had disagreements or differing goals, what kept them together? The central government. The central government. So we're going to learn in our next lesson how the founding fathers found ways through prayer and divine guidance to strengthen the union of states. Because remember, they were all connected, right? But they all had different goals. So if I put Rhode Island's goal here, Massachusetts' goal here, they're gonna separate. But when we had a centralized American government and they all were that upheld like the scarf, they were all able to stay together, right? So James Madison, one of our founding fathers, said, "The happy union of these states is a wonder, their constitution a miracle, their example the hope of liberty throughout the world." So this right here is a picture of the 1775 map of North American territories. And so you can see the original 13 right here all along this side. So they were all bordering each other, which is like the toilet paper lines. They were joined together, but they had to have a centralized government to uphold and resolve disagreements between them because they weren't getting anywhere. So we're gonna learn more about that in our next lesson. So did you know anything about the Articles of Confederation?
No, I never even heard of it.
Yeah, so let's see. So how would you describe what the Articles of Confederation are?
Like a very basic type of government.
Yeah,
It wasn't very basic.
advanced.
Giving up all the, no central government, just all the laws for the states to handle.
And was it working well?
No.
And were they able to enforce laws?
No.
Guys, so that was a fairly simple lesson today. There's obviously ones in here that have some differing activities. Every lesson is different, which is super fun. They are not all the same. We were a little bit ahead of our reading in the Mystery of Constitution Island. So we're gonna hold off on that because the chapters actually correlate with the lessons. So I am trying to stick with the read aloud, like when the book references it, but we did read ahead the other day, so we didn't have to do the reading today. But we did do lesson 6 in here, which you guys saw and heard. And then our next lesson is going to be on the Great Compromise. So that will be our very next lesson, and so everyone is different, like I said. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing a look at the U.S. Constitution and Government course book from The Good and the Beautiful, and just hearing the way that our family is utilizing this. We're doing it family style. There's a ton of discussion, which is my favorite part. And this is complicated subject matter, but The Good and the Beautiful does such a great job at making it understandable for elementary aged kids, but all the way up to high school, because quite honestly, like I said at the beginning, a lot of adults don't even know this stuff. So it's amazing, and I'm super thankful for the resource. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, post them down below. And if you want to go check it out, The Good and the Beautiful has a ton of facts on their website under the FAQ section, as well as free prints of some of this, maybe all of it, I'm not exactly sure, but you can check it out for yourself. But we absolutely love it, and I'm so excited to continue learning. So all of this will be linked down below for you guys. I hope you're doing well. Give me a thumbs up before you go if you enjoy seeing live homeschooling lessons, and I will see you guys in my next video really soon.